Creating water scenes on your model railroad can be one of the most intimidating projects you can start, but it's actually one of the easiest. You just need to use the right materials and take a few steps to make sure everything goes well, and you can get some really realistic water very easily. So we're going to try that here on our layout in this canal scene, and let's get started. Okay, so let's just take a look at what we're working with here. I had created this low tide scene in a previous video, and you could see that video and the link down below to see how we did it. But it's basically a scene that's about 6 or 7 inches deep. It's got some seawalls, different types. You've got a riprap steel wall there, and concrete with some spillways and drains, which we'll add water to later. And then back over here, we've got a wall with some cribbing, which is made of wood, and then another concrete wall with some timber, and another little low tide section there. So if we pull out, you can see the whole scene there. And what we've done is painted the base of the surface of the water a muddy green, and we blended in a little bit of gray towards the shoreline. So when we look through the resin that we're going to pour, we'll sort of see the transition, so it goes into deeper water from just with paint. Now, one of the things we've done before we're going to pour water is seal all our edges, even below here. We've sealed it with a clear caulk. This is ultra clear by DAP. You can get it. You could use a GE silicone, but any kind of caulk that will seal all these little edges here. And more importantly, the edge of the layout, we have this masonite fascia board trim, and we've sealed all the edging so nothing escapes when we do our pour. So we'll be using a 2-part epoxy. This is Envirotex Light. You can get this at craft stores like Michael's. I believe you can even get it at the Home Depot. It's probably called something else. Maybe it's a bar top resin, but it's a 2-part 50-50 measure of resin that we can mix in a cup and get our pour. But we're also going to tint it with some color, which is green. So to mix the resin, we're going to mix it in equal parts. It's a little hard to determine how much you're going to need, so start small. You don't want to waste it. So we're just going to do about maybe 2 inches in each cup. And then just use that as a guide for the second part. You definitely want to wear rubber gloves when you do this. It's pretty sticky. Now you'll notice one of these is thinner as a liquid than the other. And the thinner one is the one you want to pour into the cup because it'll be easier to get it out of the cup and you'll have an equal amount of material. And scrape as much as you can out of the cup with a popsicle stick or some kind of scrap of wood. And you want to stir this quite a bit, at least 60 seconds or so. Because if it doesn't mix properly, it won't cure, and you'll have soft, uncured water. Okay, the next thing we need to do is tint it, and this is Coach Green. This is from ArchiveX. This is an English company that makes modeling paints. They're really nice set of colors. So this is the color we used for the bottom. We painted the surface of the water. So we're going to use the same color. And we're only going to start with a drop or two, because a little goes a long way in tinting this resin. And it all depends on how much you want to see the bottom of your water. I really don't, so I kind of want like a 75% transparency. So clearly I can tell already this is too light. So we'll just give a couple more drops. And chances are this is not enough resin anyway, so we'll probably be doing a second layer. So even if it's not as opaque as we want, we can always catch it on the second pour. Okay, so we're going to start at this end here, and we're just going to pour. I can see already clearly this is not even enough resin. We're going to probably have at least 4 pours in that same amount. So you can see it's not reaching the wall. I mean, it probably will on its own, but if it's not level, it won't get to the wall. So we're just going to help it along with this stick here. And you might need something a little smaller to get the corners. Use a toothpick. And just draw it right into the edge of the wall. And what you want to do right away, of course, is check for any leaks underneath your surface here. So far, so good. If any do turn up, I would quickly stick some tape. That would help. So you can see here on camera, there's tons of little tiny air bubbles. And the one thing that will get the air bubbles away is carbon dioxide, which you can do by just breathing through a straw. And you can see how it disappears. So if there are any extra pieces you want sticking out of the water, now's the time to apply them. I'm just going to put this little section of a branch or log jammed into this culvert grill here. So you can see we fell a little short in our amount of resin that we need, so we're going to mix some more and we'll pour this section next. So we've poured a second batch of the resin, and we'll finish up the rest of this section with it. So you might have some lower areas of ground here where really there should be some water there. So just pick some up with your toothpick, because you don't want to pour over the scenery, and just drop it in and it should level out. You might have to help it a little bit. And you can see here there's a divot where that would really be filled with some water. So we can help that too and just drag it across. Okay, we've finished pouring our resin. It's pretty complete, and I've checked for any leaks. Nothing seems to be leaking, which is a good thing. And if there's any pockets that are missing some water, we can always go back, mix a little bit of the resin later, or we could use another material like Mod Podge. In another video, we'll do the ripples and some waves and maybe add a barge or a boat or something. But this is pretty good for now. It's a nice complete scene. You could leave it as is, but it would be still water. You might want some ripples, so we'll get to that in another video. Give it a try. It's pretty simple. Just Envirotex, 2 parts, A and B equal parts, and a nice dirty green color. Mix it in, pour it, and wait about 24 hours, and you've got yourself some water.